Hey guys, how are you? Okay, come on. All right, Murphy heard me. All right, I see that I'm live now. So, hey everybody. I don't know how many we have watching, but Nicole's here. Murphy's here, of course. He always has to say hi. So, we'll see how many hop on. And if you're watching already, please say hi. I'm checking the comments on my computer to the left of me, but I can also see them here on my tablet. All righty. Okay, Murphy, give me a kiss. Gonna high five? Oh, you silly. All right, down you go. You be a good boy. All righty. So hopefully we have some people hopping on. And it's 1 o'clock on Saturday, March the 7th already. Wow. So, all right, we've got three. Well, Nicole's watching, I know that. So, anyhow, I'm going to get started. And hi, Cindy from Exeter, California. That's pretty cool. I love it to see people come from all over the world. I just love the fact that technology unites us all, and we can all connect. So, and Marilyn's here, and Cynthia's here, and Cindy. So thanks a lot, guys, for hopping on. Maybe I'll give it a minute or two and see if anybody's going to join. Murphy's already said hi, but I'm sure he's going to be popping back in anyhow. But yeah, so today, because I don't do very many lives, and that's my goal, is to hopefully do more lives. But I wanted to get this live in because now I'm going to be having surgery on April the 2nd. So I'm having this massive abdominal hernia. It's at least the size of a grapefruit, if not bigger. And I'm having surgery to repair it and shove it all back in on April the 2nd. And I don't know what my recovery time is going to be. So I'm trying to get things recorded. I want to get a couple of lives in before April the 2nd. And I already have pre-recorded little how-to things, like how to do the Butler method on a zipper, how to put a zipper pull on. And I appreciate and I'm thankful that there are definitely seasoned and veteran bag makers that do watch my channel and in my tutorials, which are explicitly detailed. I appreciate the fact that you do watch, even though you know how to do all of the things that I may show. But I always keep in the back of my mind that there are people who are new to bag making and that they may not know some of the things that I may show in detail, like the male portion of the magnetic snap versus the female portion. So oh, Marilyn, love your A sticker. Yeah, I got that from Atelier in New Brunswick. They sent me that. They sent me another sticker, but it's on my bobbin case, but I'm not going to show it because this is a better one to show. But I love having the Canadian A because we all say that. And all right, so I'm just looking to see. So we have Nicole and Cindy and Marilyn and Cynthia. And I think that's it so far. But anyhow, so let's get rolling on this. So thank you all for so much for being here. I really, really appreciate it. If you have already purchased my very first digital pattern, the CherAnn Bestie Crossbody bag, I really, really appreciate it. And thank you so much. But this is what we're going to be sewing up today. So this is my very, very first digital pattern. These two bags I made, and Barbie from Jeannie's Designs made this one. She was a tester, and in the back of the pattern, there's a whole photo gallery with all the tester bag patterns. So just a little history if you're not familiar with the history of this bag. The name CherAnn, it's from my high school best friend Cheryl Ann. And she asked me to make her a certain type of crossbody bag that was not very big, slim in depth, and it had 8 card slots inside, a zipper pocket inside, a zipper pocket on the outside, and a slip pocket on the back side with a magnetic snap. And I did look for patterns online, but I couldn't really find anything that had all of those criteria in it. And I checked the patterns that I already have and didn't have it. So I thought I might as well put my 50 plus years experience of sewing. I started sewing when I was 12 years old in home ec class, grade 8, and also my bag making experience. And I thought I'd come up with a bag. It's a very simple bag. And so Cheryl and I were best friends in high school. So in the pattern, there's an introduction to the pattern. But these are the pictures of us. So this picture here is of the two of us from 1975. I was 15 and Cheryl was 16. And then this one is 1978. I was 18 and I didn't drive. I didn't have my license then, but that's her boyfriend Tony's, which is her husband now. It's his Lincoln Continental Mark IV, I think. So anyhow, those are the two of us back in the 70s when we were teenagers. And the pattern, the pattern is a digital download. It's 30 pages, lots of pictures in it, detailed pictures, detailed instructions. It is a cut chart, so there aren't any pattern pieces. And what I have done is I've taken my cut chart listing. I'm not showing it to you, and I've laminated it. And then I've also taken the little cut, that you attach onto your pieces, and I've laminated them as well so that I can reuse them. So here is a for real CherAnn Bestie bag. And hi, Lizelle and Kathy Myers is here. Thanks, everybody. This is great. I'm really thankful that you're all here and appreciate it all. And thanks, Nicole, for helping out. Nancy's going to be here later on. She said probably not until about 2-ish, 2:30. So this is the CherAnn Bestie bag. And I've already published a tutorial with this bag, this particular bag on the front. This one here, let me get my light. I just don't want it shining in my eyes or on you guys. Okay, so this is the Mora faux leather in Moroccan blue. This is a really, really pretty blue. In the pattern, there's one page full of several different links on how to do the butler method, how to do a crossbody strap if you don't know how to make a crossbody strap, how to there's a private link to a very detailed instruction on this particular bag, on making this particular bag. And it also goes in on how to make this tassel that I added on as well. So that particular pattern is a private pattern. It's not posted publicly on YouTube, but there is the other pattern that I've already, or the other YouTube tutorial that I've already posted, showing how to make a beige bag using this picture at the front. And hi, Kelly. Thanks for being here. And just showing how to make this, the CherAnn. But the private one is with this one with the tassel. And the reason why it's private is because all the measurements are mentioned in that particular bag pattern. So it has an adjustable crossbody strap. You can make it a very thick, heavy duty, 1-inch wide, or you can make it just a 1-inch, 2-inch wide folded into the center. And this one, of course, I've added a tassel onto the top zipper. It has this large zipper pocket right at the front. Now, this lining is from Sam Fabric Creation in Quebec. I love using Louise's vinyl for my linings because I don't have to cut out cotton lining and then cut out interfacing and then iron it. So I really love using Louise's waterproof nylon. And hey, Barbie! And Barbie from Jeannie's Designs is here. So we have YouTube royalty in the house. Thanks so much for being here. So there's the front zipper pocket. And then at the back here is the magnetic slip pocket with the same lining. And this is big enough that you can actually put your Kindle or a small tablet inside. But wait, there's more, because inside the bag on the back wall is a large zipper pocket, and it's the same size as this front one. So it is big enough. I have a large Samsung S25 XL S25 Ultra phone. It's the biggest Samsung, and it fits perfectly, being able to get the zipper done up. It'll fit in the zipper pocket at the back. And on the front wall, there are 8 card slots in here. And try and pull this so that you can see it. So there are 8 card slots here. And then in behind the card slots is a slip pocket for cash or your checkbook or whatever you want. And then there is tons of room in the bag. I'm just trying to catch the light here. There we go. So lots of room in the bag. So that is the CherAnn Bestie Crossbody bag, named after my best friend Cheryl from high school. So for today, today's live, I'm doing something brand new for me. A couple of weeks ago, if you're on my YouTube or if you're on my Facebook, 360 Handmade Bags Facebook group, you'll have seen that I went to Tandy Leather in Mississauga, Ontario, and I bought 2 hides that were on sale. They were $1.50 a yard, and they were from they're Italian leather from that a fabric place in Italy was going out of business, and the guy who owns the Tandy Leather in Mississauga purchased these massive hides. They're bigger than my king size bed, so I bought 2. Not realizing how big these things are. So anyhow, this is one of the leathers that I got. It's like a tobacco brown. It is thicker, and then it has a really, really roughness on the underside. But this is a gorgeous tobacco brown. And actually my Jack uh, uh, industrial walking foot does go through this. But for today, we're going to be sewing with the pink beige that I got. It's like a taupey pinky beige. My daughter Ashley says it's like a ballerina pink or ballet pink. So this is what we're using today. It is definitely thinner. I don't know what the ounces are. I don't have one of those little micrometers or whatever, but it has a very uh, not as thick or rough underside. But this is the color that we're going to be using today. And I have a leather needle in my machine. And so also the thread that I'm using is this Gutermann, it's outdoor upholstery thread, and it's in a coral color. And it doesn't give any color name, but it is coral, and it's pretty much a Tech 70 weight. So that's the thread that I'm going to be using. And I do have the leather needles. So this is what I have in my machine. I got these off of Amazon. And then the hardware that I'm using is the zipper tape that I'm using is from Temu. These teeth are much bigger. It looks like there's a bulge in it, but it's the zipper pull that comes with it and the zipper tape, but it's really in there fine. So it's a corally pink zipper tape with gold teeth. So that's what I'm using. And then the lining is this really nice nylon, waterproof nylon, very thin, from Sam Fabric Creation, and it just goes beautifully with this ballet pink. So the 2 of them together look amazing. Now, I've already done some things ahead of time. I've already made my crossbody strap, and all I did was I took 2 inches and folded it into the center to make a 1-inch wide strap. Now, I always do, when I make a strap like this that has the center seam, To make sure that it gets sealed, I always do 4 rows of stitching, so you can see how pretty. See about this light. You can see how pretty that coral looks on the on that ballet pink. So I've already done my crossbody strap. My hardware I have is gold. And then I've already done my D-ring connectors as well. However, I did make this type of a D-ring connector. And I'm going to, which is explained in the tutorials as well that I've done. And I haven't decided if I'm going to use these D-rings or these ones. So, but they're all done. You need a magnetic snap and the washers and a zipper end. You need 3 zipper pulls. So you can use either number 3 zipper or number 5 zipper. And I'm using number 5. So you need 3 zipper pulls to correspond with whatever number, with whatever size zipper tape you're using. And then of course, bag tag. So I'm using my new 360 logoed bag tag. And then now we can get started. So like I said, I have done certain things already. I've already made the card slots and we're just going to sew them up. And what we're going to work on first, and maybe I'm hoping there might be somebody sewing along too. And how many do we have watching? Oh, we have 14 watching. That's great. Thank you so much. And Kelly's here. Oh, okay. So I'm just looking to see who else is watching. Anyhow, Nicole's taking care of doing the admin and saying hi to everybody for me. So I'm very thankful of that. So what we're going to start with is we're going to start with your pattern piece A. And I have to remember, this is what I put my bag tag, the piece when I'm finished doing the front panel, is putting my bag tag on. So we're using one of the exterior of the pattern of your pattern piece A. So that's the leather that I'm going to be doing. And then also we will need there's 3 zippers. So 1 is a long zipper and 2 are short zippers. So you're going to need one of your short zippers that is in the pattern and your 2 zipper tab pieces. Now I've already gone ahead and I've already sewn mine on my zipper tabs and I've already marked the center of my zipper as well. And I'm just going to move you guys down so that you can hopefully see me and see me sewing. You know, when you get this all set up with your with your camera, and then it looks completely different when you're doing a live. So just let me pull you down a little bit more. You may not see me, but you'll see what I'm doing on my table. All right. Okay, get the lighting back down here. All right. Is does everything look okay, Nicole? Like, can everybody see what I'm doing? You're not going to see me, my head. You're going to see this part that I'd rather you not see, but so does everything look okay, Nicole? All right. So what I'm going to do is one of your exterior main fabric panels. There's certain measurements, of course, and you're going to, in the pattern, there's a certain measurement. It's going, you're going to cut a certain amount off the top. Just like that. Try and pull this back so you can see it. All right. That's a little better, I think. All right. So we're going to cut the top off. Now, one of the things to keep in mind, if you have a directional print, when you cut the top off, the certain amount, make sure you keep these 2 pieces together so that your pattern, your print is oriented. Okay, thanks, Nicole. And then I have my zipper all ready to go. And what I need to do is decide, oh, sorry, before I forget, and then mark your center. So on this piece, you're going to mark the bottom of the part that you cut off. And on the rest of it, you're going to mark your top center. And then you're going to determine which way you want your zipper pull to pull. Now, a lot of bag makers have them so that the zipper is pulling to the left. Maybe I'm backwards, I don't know, but I always wear my bag on my right hip, and I like to have the zipper right here where I can just grab it by feel. So I'm going to have my zipper pulling to the right. So I'm just going to orient everything this way, and you're going to see it from the side. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to put double-sided tape on my double-sided tape. It got stuck. All right, so I'm just putting double-sided tape across the top edge of the bottom piece. And then I'm going to lay the zipper. So I have my centers marked on the zipper. I have it closing to my right. And then I'm just going to take it and I'm just going to flip it upside down so that the raw side is showing, or the wrong side is showing. Line it up with the top raw edge on your double-sided tape. And then put another strip of double-sided tape just where your zipper is, because now we're going to start building the lining pocket for the front zipper pocket. And just put the double-sided tape just across the zipper. And then you're going to take, you have 2 pieces of the front exterior zipper pocket. You're going to take 2 of your lining pieces. Make sure that you have the centers marked. And then you're just going to flip right sides together and line it up with the center mark on your zipper. When I mark my zippers, I mark the front of it and the back of the zipper just within the seam allowance, just so that I can see the top and the front and the back. All right, so we have the lining on like this, and we're going to sew that at the seam allowance in the pattern. Let's hope that this is going to work, because this bottom part of the leather, I can feel it sticking to my sewing machine bed. And when we sew, we are going to sew right from end to end of your zipper tabs. I've also changed my walking foot out. The walking foot I usually have on my machine has these ridges underneath, and I took it off so that it won't make any marks on my fabric, or on my leather, sorry. All right, my zipper pulls in the way. Okay, and we're just going to flip all that over, and then we're going to top stitch across the folded edge, starting from end to end. Making sure that your lining is pulled down underneath and it hasn't got bunched up. Okay, if your machine, Nicole's asking if your machine doesn't like double-sided tape, you can clip instead. Yeah. And one of the things I find, okay, so I use the double-sided tape I get from Dollar Tree. Now, they only have 1/4 of an inch at the Dollar Tree. And at Len's Mills and Barrie, I can get the same double-sided tape in 1/8 of an inch there. It's more expensive, but it doesn't gum up my needle. And if I do get any residue, I just take my finger and pull it down the needle and pull it off if there's anything, but I very rarely get any residue. But yeah, if you don't have double-sided tape, you can definitely clip. Well, this thread looks really nice on this leather. Okay, and there it's top stitch. Okay, so flip it back over to the wrong side up. Nope, sorry, right side up. Double-sided tape again, right across the top raw edge and across your zipper. And we're going to attach this top piece here. And line up your centers. Nope, oh, good grief. I'm discombobulated. We're going to take your top part of the leather piece and line it up, making sure that your side edges are in line with these. I've had them kind of out of whack, even though I've had the centers marked. But this zipper pull is really bulky. It's bulky, and it does kind of get in the way. All right, now flip it to the wrong side and then just put your double-sided tape across the top edge of the zipper. And then we're going to put the other side on. Oops. I hope somebody's sewing along too. Hi, Delphina. Greetings from Mesa, Arizona. That is so cool. All right, then we're going to take right side of the other lining piece with right side to what we have here already. Match up your centers. All right, and now we're going to stitch across. This isn't lining up. Everything goes well when you're not recording or when you're not on camera or anything like that. So, okay, there we go. Tape just stuck to the table. Oh, and Murphy isn't getting any attention from me, so now he's going to go and play fight with Frankie, or our other cat, Bailey, who's 13 years old. Okay, let's do this again. Line up our lining pieces, and also make sure that even if you've lined up your centers, make sure that your side edges here on your lining are even. And then we're going to stitch across at the seam allowance in the pattern, and then we're going to top stitch. Okay. Flip it to the right side, fold up this top portion, and and we're going to top stitch across the folded edge, and make sure that your seam allowance that you just sewed is heading upward, so that when we top stitch, we catch that seam allowance behind there. I really like how this leather needle is sewing. Barbie, if you're still here, do you just keep a leather needle in your sewing machine all the time? and just sew with a leather needle when you're sewing vinyl as well, or faux leathers. I'm curious to know because I really like how the how it's sewing. So there's our front panel, and now we have the back done. So we have a little excess on the bottom of the zipper pocket lining. So just cut that down. It's just about 1/2 inch. Okay, you change your needle. Okay, good to know. I was just wondering if you just kept it in. All right, so now what we're going to do is flip it back to the right side. Take the front bottom panel and just pull it up. Don't pull it tight or anything like that. And then what we're going to do is we're going to sew. I have to see how the camera works. Okay. So from this edge here, and you can sew it right on the seam allowance too, you're going to sew in, back stitch, and sew back to a certain point. It's in the pattern, the measurements in the pattern. And then you're going to sew all the way down across the bottom, come up the other side from the bottom, come up the other side. And then when you get to this side, you're going to stitch to the edge, back stitch, and stitch again. And that will seal up your lining. Pink is a really nice, it's like a neutral beigey ballet slipper pink, not super pinky or anything like that. The stitch length I'm using throughout is a 4. Oops. Okay, so this is what I meant here. You can see when you flip up this, you can see that I started along the edge to here and then down across the bottom, up this side, and ended here and then stitched out to the edge. And you don't have to, this pocket is not going to be in any way, anywhere near the, your other stitching lines. So you don't have to really trim it. There's no bulk to it or anything like that. But one of the things with this pocket is you will have, on each end, you have this one little area that is not sewn. So if you have raw edges, you can use, or like a fraying material, you can use fray check here. One of the things is that's good to use, that I've used, is I take a bit of my Fabri-Tac glue and I stick it in that little hole and just kind of squeeze a little bit of the glue in there. Oops, I think I've over squeezed it. Let's see if I can fit it in this side. Yeah. So, and then I just take some clips and just clip them to dry them. And just do the same on this side as well. Just a little bit of drop. You don't want to put too much on there, or else it'll ooze out like it just did on me. And just clip it and let it dry. Okay. And that will help seal, and your zipper's in there too, so that will help seal it. There's my finger. Camera's backwards for me. And that will help seal that in. Okay, now we have our, before I forget, because I don't want to, if you have any, if your edges are too long on the sides here from your zipper tabs or from your sides, then you just trim them down at this point. A lot of times I do cut my zipper tabs too long, so then I'll trim them down as well. Okay, so excuse me, my bag tag is what's coming on next. Oh, there it is. Okay. And we're just going to measure. There's a measuring reference in the pattern if you want to put your bag tag on the front. I like having it on the front. So there, from the center, I didn't mark my center, but I pretty much know. And a certain amount up, like I think I put in the pattern 3 inches up from the bottom, but wherever you might want to put it, you may want to put it on the bottom right corner or left or center. I kind of like the things centered. All right, so I'm just going to make the marks on from my washer. Okay, and just center that over top of the mark that I made, the center mark. And I've got to see where this is going to land, because this washer is different than my old washer. It's kind of doesn't have an even amount of slit mark spaces for my new one. All right, and duct tape. Double-sided tape and duct tape are huge. So I use this to reinforce the underside of my fabric. So I have my marks for my bag tag, and stick that under and center it. Get Jack the seam ripper out. Ooh. This leather kind of feels like the prairie faux leather from Emmeline bags. It has the same feel to it, and it has the same kind of a pebbly look texture to it. It's just thinner. It's probably about as thin as the Mora. CherAnn. Oh, that looks good. Actually looks pretty good with it. And then I just take a piece of duct tape and cover those prongs. Just like that. Okay. Our front panel, our front zipper pocket is all done. Lots of room. Now we're going to work on, I'll just put this aside, let those ends dry. All right, so now what we're going to take is one of our piece A exterior lining. We're going to start working on the back panel. So we're going to take one of our exterior pieces. And then we're going to take our pattern piece B, the back exterior slip pocket, and you have an exterior and you have a lining. And then we're going to need our magnetic snap. Okay, so we'll just put that aside for now. And you can just take, now in the pattern, it's shorter across the top and longer on the length. this one I made an inch wider. So just clip your two exterior and lining right sides together. Now, this seam that you're going to be sewing is bigger than what's the main seam allowance in the pattern. So keep an eye on that when you look at the pattern, because it's not the same seam allowance as what's in the rest of the bag. And there's a reason for that. And just stitch that on. Okay, and then flip your lining and your exterior together. Flip at the top. And then we're going to top stitch across the top edge here. Hi, Kathy. Thanks for coming and being here. And thanks, Nicole, for posting my pattern. So, of course, my pattern is on my website at this point in time, which is www.360handmadebags.com. And if you click on, when you're in the menu, you'll see a button for patterns. Click on that, and it's the one and only there for now. All right, we're just going to top stitch this top edge. Okay. Find your center on your lining piece. I just fold it like this. This nylon, waterproof nylon from Sam Fabric is great because it has, you can leave creases. And another thing is I don't interface this bag with the fabrics that I'm using. If you're using a quilt cotton or anything like that, then definitely interface your pieces, but keep the interfacing out of the seam allowance, especially on your card slots. And I'll explain that when we get to that point. So I do have my center mark for my magnetic snap. I just want to make sure that this is even. And that it is centered. Oops, I guess I was slightly off. Folding doesn't work. When you put your magnetic snap on the lining, make sure it's situated just under the top stitching. I like to have as much real estate available in my pockets as possible. And if you put the magnetic snap down here, then your phone could, it might not, you might not be able to snap it closed with your phone inside, especially if you have a big one like me. So I like to situate the it just below the top stitching. And duct tape again. Okay. And I can see where through the fabric where my marks are. So I'm just going to lay my duct tape over top of this seam. And this helps to secure my, just like my bag tag, it helps to support the, actually, sorry, I'm not putting it on that side. I'm putting it on my lining side because that's where I need the support for the structure. So we're just laying the lining, but making sure that it's not in the fold, or else you'll have a bulk there. Alrighty. And then just take Jack the seam ripper, make your slits, and we're using the male portion of the magnetic snap on this slip pocket. All right, the washer on. Now, I don't bang my prongs. They never ever sit flat when you push them on, especially if you don't have strength in your fingers. I just take them and push them down on my desk. And then I take a piece of duct tape and cover the prongs and the washer so that it doesn't rub on anything. All right, and there we have our male portion of the magnetic snap on. Now we're going to take our other piece, panel piece B or A, the exterior, and we're going to line this up, and I have a little excess. I'm not the greatest cutter, confession. I don't cut very, very well. When Barbie helped when we launched the pattern the other day on Wednesday, and thank you again, Barbie, for letting me use your viewership. I was saying that how much I marvel at the fact that when she does her cutting out videos, she can take her rotary cutter and cut all around her paper pattern pieces without killing herself or cutting herself or chopping up the pattern piece. But yeah, I still do the old school. I trace and then cut out. All right, so take your exterior back piece, lay your newly made slip pocket on top. Right side of your lining will be on the right side of your exterior. Line up your bottom corners. Make sure your edges are matching. You can see that I can feel that this one's a little bigger, but that's okay. It'll all get trimmed. Make sure that your top raw edge and your folded top stitched edge, that they're parallel with each other and it's the same distance from each other. And if you have to trim it, like I do, I can just see this one corner, then make sure that you trim it so that it's straight. Oops. I need a bigger desk over here. I'm just trimming this off so that it's even, because I can see that it's not straight. Okay. And then we're just going to baste all the way around the raw edges. When you do baste, I know that this is probably something you guys all know as bag makers, but I always am conscious that when I start on the one side, that when I get to this edge, because it's a little higher than the main fabric, make sure that you keep this tight together so that it doesn't get pushed down by your presser foot. I've had that happen in my early bag making days. Oops, lights in the way. Sorry, I'm trying to get my light going here. As long as it's not in your eyes. Yeah, this leather does stick to the bed of my sewing machine. Grabs it. I apologize if you hear me sniffing, but I can smell the leather, and I do have a bit of an allergy to the smell of leather. It does bother my sinuses. Crazy, huh? Everybody goes on about how much they love the smell of leather, and I do like it myself. It's just my nose doesn't like it. My sinuses, I should say. See if I've missed anybody else. And thank you, Nicole, for posting all this stuff for me. Okay, we've got that basted on. And now we need to put the female portion of the magnetic snap on. Oops. So what I do is be careful that you don't drop this. I dropped this during the live with Barbie the other day and got a mark on my faux leather. And I did that when I was making the tall wallet video, got a black mark. Anyhow, be very careful when you're holding a Sharpie. So all I do is I take the folded part, pull it back slightly so that it exposes the nub of your magnetic snap. I put a black mark in the center, and before it dries, just take it and drop it gently onto your exterior, and it will, and just push it on and it will leave a mark, just like so. All right, so I'm going to take a piece of my duct tape and my stylus, and I pop the stylus through the center of this mark, and then put the duct tape centered through the center of the duct tape, and then stick it to that spot. Doesn't matter if it's not straight or not. And then I take the washer. There's the screw I was missing. Sorry, I was sewing the other day and I lost one of the screws to the zipper end. Just found it. It was attached to the magnet of my oh, cripes, I can't talk. It was stuck to my magnetic snap. Okay, so I'm just going to take the whole of the magnetic snap, center it over the hole that the stylus made, draw my slit marks. And stick the magnet on. All right, and our magnetic snap is done, and they do secure together, which is lovely. Okay, there is our back and our front are complete. And before we go on, in the pattern, there is a measurement to make a mark on either edge of the top edge of both your back and front panel. And this is where the zippers, the D-ring connectors are going to go, and your start and stop end of where your zipper is going to go. And just make that little mark within the seam allowance. You won't see it. Just a bit. Put your zipper in the center. You're going to need it there at the moment to keep it out of the way. Okay, so those are the marks. See, everything's backwards. All right, those are the marks on the front, and then the same measurement on the back. Put double-sided tape in between those two marks. Okay. Now, at this point in time, in the pattern, I have a certain way to box the corners. And you've sewn up the sides and the bottom, and then you line up your side seam and your bottom seam to make your point, and you draw a line across that point, stitch it, and then you trim it down. But if you want, you can make your own boxed. You can use your measurement on the front and the back panel to create your own box corners before we sew it. It was just easier for me just to do it, to sew it all around. Okay, so we're just going to put these two panels aside for the moment. We're going to get our longest zipper, and not the zipper pull we don't need right at the moment. And in the pattern, there is a measurement of making a line. We're going to do the butler method of sewing up the zipper, making the right angles. So take your zipper tape, pull it apart. We all know how to do this, I hope. In the pattern, there, like I said, there is a YouTube tutorial on how I do this. There is a way you can sew both edges, both corners, but in the tutorial, I have sewing one side and then using the lighter to melt the other side. So we're just going to do that, and I'm going to pin them. I'm just going to sew up both sides today. But you can check out the links in the pattern. Okay. And this is what we have. And what you want is you want your folded edge right under your zipper teeth. And when I stitch them, I was stitching them from the teeth down this edge. You definitely want it on this edge so that when the zipper is sewn in, you don't see that stitching. And I was stitching from the teeth down, but I figured out, and maybe you guys know this too, but I'm now stitching from here to the teeth and then back again. Just easier, and I don't have to go over those teeth. Okay. And then I'll just trim off. So we have them sewn. And I'll just trim off these little tails on the sides and then take a lighter to them. Hi, Sabrina. Okay. Oh, I have sun coming in. We've had fog all day today, and it was raining. And I hope the 6 or more inches of ice on our roof and then the 1.5 feet of snow will all melt. Okay, I've got to close my blinds because now the sun is right in my eyes. All right, there we have the zipper done. Now we're going to pull the zipper apart. We don't need to have it together at the moment. Take your front panel with the zipper on the front that you've done, and with the double-sided tape, take the backing off. Now, because I have my zipper oriented that it's closing to my right, that's how I want the top zipper to close. I want it to be closing so that the zipper pull is at this end as well, just like this one. So you want the curve, because I'm pulling it to the right, I want the curve of this piece of this section of the zipper on the same side as where the zipper pull closes. So with the right side of the teeth is the teeth down. I'm going to line it up with that mark and then put it right across to where the other mark is. Hard to see. I'm trying to see what I'm doing and I have sun in my eyes. But the sun is beautiful and we have robins out now, which is a sure sign of spring. And I saw 2 cardinals. I saw a male and female cardinal the other day as well. So spring is definitely coming to Wasaga Beach, Ontario. If your zipper pulls to the left, like you see a lot of bag makers do, then this curve, you would use the other piece instead and have the curve going on this side. Now, when we do the back piece, take the backing off your double-sided tape, and then the other curve you're going to have on the opposite edge. So the front one, I have the curve of the zipper on my right side, and now this curve of the zipper will be on my left side, lining the teeth edge up with that mark that I have made. Okay, and then we're just going to, you can either baste it on at 1/8 of an inch seam allowance, or you can sew it right on. I sew it right on at seam allowance in the pattern. And my teeth are quite a bit larger than a normal zipper tape. This Temu, I don't know that I would buy this zipper tape anymore. I'm not sure that I like it. I know I've had teeth come out of it right at those folds. Okay. And stop your stitching right at the mark. I need to mark my zipper so I can see where that mark is, so I know where to stop. And then when you get to that mark, pull your zipper tape down so that when you sew along here, it's going to graduate off your zipper. And then do the same for the other side. Okay, just like that. and it's sewn on. So we're just going to take these and put them aside for now. And we're going to take one of our pattern piece A lining pieces. Now this one, so all the other lining I've done is a thinner version of this waterproof nylon from Sam Fabric. But my actual lining pieces for the front and back interior panel, it's a little more heavier duty, and it's the PVC on the back. So take one of these lining pieces and one of these smaller zipper pocket pieces, and then you're going to need your other short zipper. On your other short zipper, put your zipper pull on. Make sure that you burn your edges, and have double-sided tape on both sides of the top and bottom of the zipper. On your zipper pocket lining, this is going to be your facing, your zipper box facing, and you're going to draw, the measurements are in the pattern, and you're going to draw a zipper box and line up your center. I have the center already cut out of on this on this exterior panel and on my lining, and you're going to need, I need some painter's tape. I love that it's reusable. And then line up, there's a measurement in the pattern from the top edge to where your ruler lines up. Line up the center mark of your lining facing, and just put your painter's tape on just to hold it. And then we're going to stitch all around this box. I lower my stitch length to a 2 because I like having a tighter stitch, especially going around those corners. Even a touch smaller is okay, at least for my machine. And then we're just going to stitch around that box. And your lining facing is right sides together with your interior lining panel, main panel. Oh, hi, Nancy. She made it. Hi, Kivia. How many do we have watching now? Oh, we have 24 watching. Yay. That's awesome. Thanks so much, guys. All right. Okay. That's all stitched on. Take the painter's tape off because we do use this. I reuse this a lot. Okay, and take a good pair of sharp scissors. I like using these Fiskars. They have a really super good pointy tip to it. And just cut down that center line on your inside of your box, and then cut your triangles. Cut into the corners from your triangles without cutting your stitching. I have done that, but you can always go back and restitch the corner if you do cut your stitching. I have to do that a few times. Okay. I'm going to take double-sided tape, and I put double-sided tape all the way around so that when I turn this to the other side, I can use it to stick it on, but we will be taking it off afterwards, after the zipper's been installed. Okay, just like that. Take your whole lining facing and stick it through to the other side. So now your wrong side of your main panel, lining panel is facing up. Pull your pocket lining through and then orient it so that we have it sitting folded right on those stitch lines. I'm just going to take the backing off of one of the double-sided tapes. It doesn't want to stick to my nylon. It wants to stick to me. I'm surprised Murphy hasn't come, but he does love coming and saying hi to everybody at the beginning. And when he hears Barbie's voice on YouTube, he just goes crazy. He loves hearing Barbie. Especially when she's talking to her puppies. If you're in the US, go check out geniebags.com. I think it's geniebags.com or geniesdesigns.com. Barbie has a website. She sells I believe fabrics and hardware and patterns as well. So go onto her website and check out her website if you're in the US. I'm in Canada, and yeah, check out Barbie's. Also, Lori's website is Wild Ponies. Well, hi, Colleen. Hi, Mona. We have a few people. Okay, so our zipper box has been made. And now we take our zipper that we already put the double-sided tape on, and you just figure out which way you want your zipper pull to pull closed. We've been on just over an hour. So I'm going to have it pull to the right, just like the rest of everything I'm doing. Just lay that on your table. Don't get stuck to the double-sided tape. Come on. All right. And just lay your box centered over top of that zipper. What I do is, in order to get my zipper centered fast and easy, is I center this corner that we've stitched to this corner, and I center the teeth in between those 2 points on both ends. And then the rest of the zipper tape falls into place and getting centered really well. And now we're just going to stitch all the way around that box and to secure the zipper. I'm keeping my stitch length at a 2, and I will back stitch over top of the zippers. Sometimes my thread doesn't like back stitching over top of those zipper teeth. Oh, there's Bailey. Okay. And it's stitched. Now, if your zipper on the back, first of all, fold your facing back out of the way and peel off all of that double-sided tape now. You don't want it anywhere near your stitching for when we seal up this lining for the pocket. Okay. Trim off your zipper tape if it needs to be trimmed off. I think mine is okay. It's not going to be in the way of anything. We aren't going to be trimming down our pocket, really the seams. Just as long as you're, like, I know that mine, it's right at the edge, but I'm not worrying about the edges. Thanks again, Nicole, for posting my pattern on my website. So take your other lining piece, right sides together with this one here, when the teeth fell out, and just clip everything around. We are sewing it all the way up. We're not using this zipper pocket as a turning hole. I know Barbie did with hers on the live that we did the other day. It's not even. Okay. When you start stitching, fold your lining panel, interior lining panel over so that it exposes your little point that you've cut in your zipper box. I always cut a bigger one. Start stitching right from the top, right alongside this fold. We don't need all of this seam, this space at the top of a zipper because you're not putting anything in. Where you want all the space is a wider bottom part so you can stuff more stuff in. So sew from the top all the way down along the fold. Don't catch the fold in or you'll catch your fabric in there. Go over top of that point and because that'll be caught in and your zipper's right underneath it, back stitch over top of that. When you get past that, then start graduating out to create the seam allowance that's in the pattern and then sew across the bottom and then up the top. And when you sew up the top, then when you get to this point, you're going to sew up and then you're going to veer in and catch this point right up along this edge just till you get up past the zipper and then fold the top over and then sew across the top to seal it. And I do back stitch across the zipper teeth just as an added security. The stitching inside isn't pretty, but it's functional. I'm still at my stitch length is still at a 2, which is okay. And just fold the other side and go up top. And then fold back the top. Okay. So that's what we have. You have a lot of space up here. You can trim. I am going to trim the top edge and down the sides where it's a little excess material. Don't need all that. And if I cut my zipper, then I'm going to take the lighter to it and burn it again. Definitely use your utility zipper, your utility scissors to cut your zipper. And you can cut your corners if you want, but they aren't going to be in any, they're not going to be in the way of any kind of stitching when we sew everything up together. Just gonna take a lighter to this zipper. Because this Temu zipper does fray. Oops. Bigger. Okay. And there is our one interior lining piece with our zipper pocket. Lots of room, tons of room in here. All right, now we're going to take the other interior main lining. First, before we do that, we're going to work on our card slots. Now, I have already made my card slots. So you're going to need your card slot back, and you're going to need your card slot piece. Make sure when you mark a T on the top, just so that you remember what the top is, because when I made one of these bags, one of the first ones, I didn't mark it, and I wound up with the turning hole at the top instead of at the bottom where you want it. So there are lines to mark on your from the pattern. One thing I got to say about this waterproof nylon from Sam Fabric Creation, when I make my marks, don't ignore the blue. You know, the rule of thumb is measure twice, cut once. Well, I measured twice and I still measured the wrong measurement. And it's by pattern. Anyhow, the red lines are the actual fold lines. So one of the things with this particular nylon is when you do make your marks, and I just use a gel pen, you're not going to see it. It does leave a score. It scores it and it makes it easy to fold. It makes it easy to fold these folds, and it's anyways, I love using this fabric from Sam Fabric. So I already did my card slots, each fold, and there's 8 card slots that you're going to have in this bag. So you top stitch each fold, and then there's a certain measurement to stitch a center line, and with each time, every fold, I back stitch at each fold, just to give it more reinforcement. All right, so what we're going to do is take our card slot back, put the right side together with your card slots, line up the center line, center mark with the center line. My card slot back pocket may be too big, maybe not, it's working out. Just clip it all together. Okay, I know that's too long. The one edge too long. Like I said, I'm not the greatest cutter. All right, now at the bottom is where we're going to leave a turning hole. So clip all the way around the card slots. There's your top. Keep it oriented. And then sew into each edge about 1.5 inches, 2 inches, and leave about a 3 or 4 inch turning hole. I still have my stitch length of 2, which I'm fine with. And then you stitch this at the seam allowance in the pattern. Okay, and there we have it stitched. And there's our turning hole underneath. Now, before I forget, I just like to take a piece of double-sided tape and put it on one of the inside raw edges, just right at the edge there. And then that'll help when we turn it, after we've turned it, it'll help seal it before we stitch it shut. All right, trim your corners off. I kind of scoop in the corners on either edge of it. Now, this is where you have to watch with what fabric you're using for your card slots. If you use anything heavier than this, or if you're using cotton, and you make sure that your interfacing does not go right to the edge of the card slots, because the sides here, there's a lot of bulk, and that can cause an issue when you're sewing the card slots onto your main panel, lining panel, especially if you're using a domestic machine. This is where the bulk happens. But this waterproof nylon really is nice to use. And the reason why I don't trim the edge is because I have found that when I've trimmed this edge down to, say, 1/8 of an inch, when you turn it, it somehow creates more bulk, whereas when it's turned and this seam allowance is spread further into the pocket, it seems to be flatter. All right, so I've trimmed my corners and I've scooped the edges around the corners. We're going to turn this right side out. Get your turning tool to poke out your corners. I'll use my broken old knitting needle, plastic knitting needle. Be very gentle poking those corners because I have poked right through them. And that's not fun. Okay. All right, flatten this out. My double-sided tape backing is coming off, so I'm just going to close up that bottom edge. Just give it a bit of a fold with my finger pressing on either edge, and just kind of seal that up for now. Okay. And we're just going to top stitch across this top folded edge. I am now changing my stitch length back to 4. And just take a lighter to those ends. Okay, if you do have bulk and you can feel it right along these edges, you can take your seam roller. Put it out the other day. Oh, here it is. You can take your seam roller and you can roll it to press those edges down. Or you can take a hammer or a mallet and hammer them. I also have this, it's a jewelry tool. It's not very wide, but it's flat with silicone on the inside. And you can take that and really squish this down, and it does work. It helps to put pressure on those that bulky side edge. And it does help to squish it and flatten it. Okay. So take your other interior lining panel, and there's a measurement in the pattern. To measure down from the top of where to put your card slots. Line up your center line with your center mark on your ruler. And make sure it's straight. And then I just take, oops, I slid it. And then just take the painter's tape and I put it across the top because we've already top stitched that. If you can pin your fabric, then go ahead and pin it into place, but I don't do that. So I just have it taped across the top. We're going to stitch all the way down the one side across the bottom, which will seal up our turning hole, and then up the other side. When you're sewing your card slots, because you want to have as much space as possible, just catch this edge with your sewing machine. So if you're able to do a 1/16 of an inch all along here, you're just catching it to attach it onto here, or anywhere between a 1/16 and an 1/8 of an inch and then you'll have room. Then your card slots won't be tight for getting your cards in. So we're just catching that edge. And then just catching that edge just to seal up that turning hole. And burn your threads if they're too long on the front side. Okay. All right. There are our card slots. I'm just checking to make sure that I did catch the seam, that I caught everything. There's the card slots, and you can see that I have just caught that edge. And at the bottom as well. So one of my dad's old cards. Lots of room for your cards to go in there. With them being this, you can probably fit 2 cards in each slot, but there's definitely 8 card slots. And then in behind, you have a slip pocket for cash or a checkbook. If you don't want to use that as a cash pocket, you could take a small cam snap and put it here and have it go through to the other side to snap it closed if you want to do that. Okay. Now what we're going to do is we're going to take our exterior and we're going to sew that up. So we're going to put right sides together. Make sure that your top corner edges are in line. That's what's important. You want your top edges to be matching and lined up. Make sure when you're at this point where you have these zipper tails, you get them out of the way, you fold them back out of the way of your stitch line, and then line up your top edge and corners. And then clip all the way down your side seams and your bottom of the exterior. Hi, Marlene. How many do we have watching? Well, we have 22 watching. That's great. Okay, and then we're just going to clip up the bottom. And then we're going to do the same for the lining. Put the right sides together of your lining. Make sure you've got the right side, the top's going the right way. Now, when you clip your lining together, oops, the side. Make sure I don't sew the top like I did the other day. You're going to leave a turning hole in the lining. So sew in about 2 inches on each corner, 1.5 inches, and you're going to leave about a 5-inch turning hole on your lining. Okay, I'm just going to stitch up the lining right now. We're not boxing the corners of the lining, but when you do stitch the lining, you're going to start at the seam allowance in the pattern, and then you're going to go down about 1 inch, and then you're going to graduate into the bag to make a wider seam allowance so that the lining fits smaller inside your bag, and all the way down, and keep that larger seam allowance till you get to the edge here, and then start over here with the larger seam allowance. Go up this side, and then when you're about 1 inch away, then come out to the seam allowance in the pattern. Just going to shorten my stitch length for this lining. Oops. Okay. So we've done the turning hole, and now I'm just going to trim the corners, and I'm just going to trim this excess seam allowance off that we don't really need. But don't trim the bottom, because we want to be able to have a decent seam allowance for the turning hole. Flip it to this side and see it better. I have a little tray here for all my garbage scraps, and if do you think I can actually get them in there? Okay, so our interior lining is all done, and we're going to leave it inside out. Now we're going to stitch up the exterior of the bag of the exterior of the bag at the seam allowance in the pattern. Boy, this leather does like to stick. Here we go. Okay, I'm just going to trim some of these edges, and I'm going to trim these corners. And then we're going to box the corners on the exterior only. The corners of your lining will fit into the box corners of your exterior. Just going to curve some of that. Okay, and we turn our pocket. Turn the exterior of the bag and poke out your. Oh, sorry! Don't do as I don't do as I say. We have to box our corners. Okay. Good grief. So what I do is you could have, before you sewed these together, cut your little corners out yourself. But what I do is I just take the bottom seam, pull everything out, and the side seam, and you can feel it lining up inside your bag, and line up your side seam with your bottom seam, and clip if you have to. And then nest your seam. So I got this one going this way, and then this one is going the other way. Draw a line, measure from the point, the corner, to where you want to box your corner, and draw a line. I use the seam, I use the 1 inch, 3/4 inch, 1/2 inch on my stitch plate. But some people don't have that, so you're going to want to draw a line across. That's what I do. And then repeat for the other side. It is bulky down here because of the back exterior slip pocket and the seams. Over that one more time, just to make sure it's secure. I do a lot of my sewing by feel. Thread just broke. Okay, I have to fix my thread. Sometimes it doesn't like going over bulky things. Okay, I'm just going to stitch over that one more time, just to reinforce it. Come on, get up there. Okay, so we have our box corners, and that's all I do is I stitch across. And I'm just going to trim these now, just down to about 1/4 of an inch. And now we're going to turn our bag and poke out those box corners. That's looking good. Okay. Just roll your seams. They are bulky. And there you go. Okay. Now we're going to put our D-ring connectors on. I am going to go ahead and use the ones that I already made, only because of the fact that I don't have 1-inch wide D-rings to accommodate this type of a connector. So take your double-sided tape, just put a strip across each, just here. You're going to center it on your side seam. In between the zippers. Oops. Some thread. Okay. This is the worst. This is the hardest thing, is getting the backing off your double-sided tape. If you can splay your seams open, do that. Make sure that you probably, I leave about 1/2 inch of the D-ring connector sticking up. I don't trim that off. And your D-ring is pointing downward. And then clip that on. And then we're going to baste these into place on both sides. Just make sure that your D-ring connectors are are the same length, and I can feel that they are. Okay, I'm just going to base these on from the inside. It's easier. And also, before I forget, I just want to thank my bag testers. So that was Barbie and Jan and Sarah and Nancy and Ellie and Catherine. I hope I got everybody to do it by memory. Okay. Right here. All right, so now we have our bag all turned out right side out. And now, so have it zipper side up. The reason why there is, so I've got some threads need to be melted here. Huh. Not sure, but there's nothing on this side. Okay, the reason why there's a different seam allowance when you sew the to the exterior and the lining of the slip pocket together. The reason why it's a different seam allowance is so that when it's all constructed and put together, your slip pocket is in line with one of your zipper tab top stitching, even though the folds are going the opposite way. But that's the reason why, and it just looks a little symmetrical that way. Okay, so we have our exterior all done. Right side out. Make sure your box corners are all pushed out. Then you take your lining and keep it inside out, wrong side out. I like having the card slots so that when I open the bag and look inside the bag, the card slots are right there. Have them on the top. Your front zipper pocket on the top, and then stick your exterior into the lining, making sure those are all lined up, and then line up your side seams and clip everything around. Make sure you open up your seams, butterfly them open, and stitch them that way to help reduce the bulk. Clip your raw edges. We're almost done, guys. Okay. And make sure that when you're with the zipper tails, because they are long, push them down in between the exterior and the lining so that they are out of the stitch line. You don't want them getting caught. Line up your side seam on this side. I can do that. And then when we get it all flipped, then we will stitch around at the seam allowance in the pattern. You can baste it first if you'd like. Just clip it all. This is such a nice bag. It's great for craft markets, if you're going to make it and sell them. It's great as gifts for traveling. Be perfect for traveling because you're carrying all your essentials, lots of room for your passport and all your cards, cash, anything like that, lots of room. And it's slim. You could even wear this under a jacket if you had to. You could even do your seatbelt up with it. Okay, we've got it all clipped, and I'm just going to stitch all the way around the top. And this may be my new bag. Just like Barbie, I say the same thing. They're all going to be my new bag, but this one is my very first leather one. And I'm very pleased with how it's turned out. Something's getting in the way here. Getting over that hump where the D-ring connectors are. Use my zipper or my sewing needle case. That helps to act like a hump jumper. Sometimes this thread doesn't want to work properly. All right, just hold, please. I've got to rethread again. One thing about this Gutermann thread is it untwists right at the very end when you need to thread it. See, one thing I don't like about it. Okay, so back to sewing this. Here. Getting there, guys. Somebody's just talking about daylight savings time. So if you're still changing your clocks, you spring ahead 1 hour tonight, tomorrow, early tomorrow morning. BC is doing it. British Columbia has now made the decision that they're going to spring ahead the 1 hour, and that's it. They're not changing their clock time anymore. And the reason why it was done was for the farmers, so that they could have extra daylight before all technology and stuff like that. So they could have an extra hour daylight for farming. Okay, let's see. Okay, getting there. Trim off all these threads. And we turn it now. Okay, just like about peel it like a banana. Sometimes it just doesn't want to go, depending on the fabric you use. Okay, we're getting there. Just okay, yay! All right, make sure those box corners are poked out. Make sure your zippers are all pushed down, including your lining zipper. It's shoved up. Okay. Now, before we top stitch the top, I'm going to seal the bottom turning hole. So I'm just going to take my fingers. I'm not even really poking out these corners. I'm just going to take my fingers into where the seams are and kind of pull, and it automatically folds your fabric over. And then we're just going to clip, and then we're going to stitch at a very scant 1/8 of an inch seam allowance, just to seal up that turning hole. Okay, and shove the lining back in. Just making sure that those zippers pockets are all pushed down. Poke your corners out of your lining. I kind of just pull it up from the corner. I really shove my finger into that corner. And stick that into one of your corners of your box corner, and it fits beautifully in there. Okay, make sure that the zipper, interior zipper is pushed down and the corners are all pushed down. Oh, this looks so nice. Okay. Okay, everything worked out. So make sure your lining is really pushed in there, especially grab your D-ring connectors if you have to. And I'm going to increase my stitch length for when I top stitch. Okay. And when I top stitch, I'm just making sure that my leather exterior and my lining is all pushed down. I'm going to start top stitching here where the zippers are, because right along that, across that seam, because you're not really going to see that. I'm not pulling my threads to the back, and I am top stitching from the exterior, so it's a little awkward. and I will be back stitching. Hopefully there won't be as much of a bulk here. Now that little excess of the zipper or D-ring connector, you can use that for to put rivets in if you want. Just hand cranking over top of those D-ring connectors. It's a little stiff, a little thick coming down as well. I use my knee lift more like a hump jumper. I never seem to have luck with a hump jumper. I kind of just lift it a bit just to help it get over there. Here we go. All right, let's make sure this top stitching turns out good. I think this might be my new spring bag. This leather is very similar to the Mora to work with, although the Mora is more pliable. But this is thinner than the Mora a little bit. But when I started bag making, I had a vintage Kenmore, and I did all of my bags. I made all of my bags on my vintage Kenmore. So even using vinyls and faux leathers. Getting over that second D-ring connector. I'll have to stitch over top of that. I'll have to fix that after. I'll do that after we're done the live. Fighting with these zipper tails. Okay. There is one spot I'm going to have to restitch. And I'll do that after. Yeah, I'm going to stitch that D-ring connector. Okay, look at this, guys. It's almost done. Yay! Okay, we've only just been on for 2 hours. That's not too bad. All right. Now we're going to put on our zipper pull and our zipper end, and then we're done, and then I'll attach the strap. So when I do my zipper, okay, I'm going to have to fix this first. I can't put the zipper on until I fix this stitching around this D-ring. Rats. The thread just went funny again on it. Give me a sec, guys, and then we're almost done. Hi, Frankie. You coming to join us? Hey? Are you coming to join us? Yeah. All right, here's Frankie. She's looking out her big wide screen TV, the window, checking to see if there's any spring critters. I'm just going to fix this one edge. It'll be okay. Don't flick my clips out of the way, Missy. That's better. Your tail's in the way. You're going to get it sewn or you're going to get it clipped off. Okay. So when I do my zipper, put the zipper pull on, I want to make sure that my curves are lined up. And all I do is I just take some clips and just clip it all down the top of the zipper. Line up the curves. And then just clip the zipper tape. And then make sure that the end of the zipper tail is straight. Just like that. And then make sure it's straight. Trim it off and then add my zipper pull to it. I usually have to just trim off a tooth on each end. Oh, remind me not to buy this zipper tape from Temu anymore. Oh, come on. I've got to do it down here. Sorry. See if you can see me there. Okay. So the first time I did a zipper pull, it took me 2 hours to get the zipper pull on this zipper. I've got to hold the tape down. Okay, there we go. Yay. Clips off. Okay, and now our pull lines up. Now, one of the things is when you have this excess zipper tape, we're going to cut it down, of course. You could stick it into this hole if you want to. You can make this hole bigger just by moving your marks maybe 1/2 inch more in towards the center of the bag. I don't like personally sticking this zipper tape down into the bag. I like having it handy right where I can get it. So in this particular bag, I stick it through the D-ring connector. I determine how much I want to trim off. So I probably am trimming off like about 1 inch to 1.5 inches. And then I'm just going to fold the zipper tape in half and then in half again along the teeth on both sides. And then I'm going to light it and melt it, and that helps to seal it together as well. Put a clip on it for now. And then get your zipper end. If you have these, you can make a little cap of the using your fabric if you want to. I just have these, so I'm using them. And I take my Fabri-Tac glue. Oh, where did the, oh, there it is. I don't want to lose that screw again. I take my Fabri-Tac glue and I just put a couple of drops into the zipper end, and that helps squish it on. And then I take a little bit Oops, that didn't seal very well with the lighter. Hold on. I just like to seal it because then it helps to keep it in place. Okay, and then take a little bit of your Fabri-Tac and just run it along the top of your zipper and around a little, maybe about 1/8 of an inch along the front and the back of it and around the edges. Not a lot. I've had it ooze out in other instances. Take your zipper end and shove it on, and then put your screw in. And I can see the glue, so that's perfect because then the glue will get into the screw. And that'll help hold your zipper end in. Not that you probably need to, but it's just what I do. Okay, let's put the crossbody strap on and check out our bag. Okay, I'm moving you up so I can see you all. Hi. Okay. Out of the way. All right, there is my very first leather CherAnn Bestie bag by 360 Handmade Bags. And it is done. So let's see how that looks. I've got stuff all over me. Just this. You can wear it as a shoulder bag or a crossbody bag. Yeah, it's a little short for me. I'm too tall. Okay. I appreciate you guys hanging out with me. Okay, there it is. Let's just lift it up a little bit. Okay. And it's a really nice size. And like I said, it's very slim that you could have it inside under your coat with your seatbelt on. I love this bag. I mean, I designed it for my best friend, Cheryl. And the fact that you have your nice size zipper pocket that you can put your phone in and still get the zipper done up. And a nice slip pocket in the back. And then on the interior, on the back wall, you have another large zipper pocket. Lots of room inside. Get my light over here. There, now you can see the inside. I have to be careful with this light because I wind up with a green glow on my glasses. And then on the front wall, you have your 8 card slots and then a slip pocket for cash, checkbook, if you still carry a checkbook. And what I like about when I tuck the zipper end into the D-ring connector, you have it right there to grab hold of. And then when the zipper opens, it opens as far as the D-ring will slide down and it'll stop right there as well and not put any pressure on your zipper end. All right. So I appreciate you guys being here for 2.5 hours while I sew up my very first pattern, the CherAnn Bestie Crossbody bag, named after my best friend Cheryl from high school. And I just want to look at the comments, what everybody's saying. If you guys are just chit-chatting amongst yourself, that's great. I love it. I think that's great. And I thank Nancy and Nicole for making sure that the links are here. So don't forget the pattern if you'd like to purchase the CherAnn Bestie bag. Now, when you go on my website of www.tree60handmadebags.com, click on the pattern button and it'll take you right to the pattern. You're going to see that it says $15 on sale. That's $15 Canadian. So when you purchase the bag. If you're in the US, that's that's $11 or slightly under $11, depending on what the exchange rate is that particular moment in time. So thanks again, Nancy, for posting the pattern. And I also have in the description box in this live, I also have my own Amazon store link, but it's Canadian link. So if you see something on there that you might like, click it. It should take you to your own home country, and hopefully you'll be able to get it there. Definitely more expensive in Canada than it would be in the US. But I really appreciate all of you guys being here and helping me launch, as well as Barbie helping me launch the CherAnn Bestie Crossbody bag this past Wednesday. So check out that live. All of my videos are in my 360 handmade bags playlist. So when you click on the playlist, you'll be able to binge watch if you have nothing better to do, all the videos that I've done and all the tutorials. And I will try and get another live or two in before I go for my surgery on April 2nd to have this massive, at least bigger than a grapefruit size hernia that I have, and I don't know what the recovery is going to be like, but I do have little short how-to videos already sitting in YouTube and just waiting for me to publish them to the public. And if if I'm not able to sew for a couple of weeks, then at least I have those on available to at least produce some content. So thanks so much, guys, for being here. Oh, thanks, Marlene. And oh, thanks, Cynthia. You guys are great. How many are watching right now? I'm just looking on the. Oh, I've got 26. That's a bumper crop. That's great. I really appreciate it. And so again, thanks a lot again, Nicole and Nancy. Nicole, I'll bet you any money it's spring out where you are in British Columbia, but we still have about a foot of snow here that hasn't melted. I'm just looking at the comments. So thanks, Mona, for being here. And oh, thanks, Gloria. And yeah, so thanks a lot, guys, for being here. Thanks, Barbie, for popping in. I don't know if you're still here or not. I don't know that anybody else from our admin group with Barbie was here. I'm just trying to look. So thank you, everybody, for coming and checking out one of my first lives, because I haven't really been doing them, but that's my goal, is to get more lives on the go and on YouTube. And you guys can sew along with me. So get the pattern. I'd really appreciate it. Depending on how my website does, I have it until the end of May. And if I don't get a lot of traction on my website, then I will be closing my website down. But the pattern will still be available for anybody who wants to purchase it after that. It'll just be, I'll be changing the pattern or my website link to an email address for you to email me, and then provide me with a phone number and your mailing address. And then I will call you to get payment information. This is after the end of May when I let my website go, and I'll get payment information over the phone for my Square payment system, and then I'll email you the PDF pattern right away. But up until now, as of now, click on the www.360handmadebags.com. In the menu, the pattern link, and click that button, and then click on the CherAnn Bestie Crossbody bag. And if you haven't purchased it, I really appreciate if you purchase it. That would be great. But thank you so much. I hope you guys like this color. It is a different color. It's kind of a beigey ballet pink. So anyhow, this is going to be my new bag for the moment. All right. Thanks a lot again, guys. Take care and enjoy your weekend. Don't forget to turn your clocks. Spring 1 hour ahead, either tonight or early tomorrow morning. Like I said, it really isn't your color. It's more of a pretty color. Yeah. All right. Thanks, Donna. Well, thanks for being here. All right, guys, take care. Have a wonderful weekend. I'm going to go watch the rest of the Briar this weekend, our Canadian curling men's championship. So, and of course, Brad Jacobs. If you're into curling, Brad Jacobs' team won the gold medal in the Olympics, and Rachel Holman's ladies' team won the bronze medal in the Olympics. So, pretty cool. All right, take care, guys, and we will see you the next time.